So we're going to play a quick game of Truth or Dare. Actually, we're not going to play a game of Truth or Dare. But I'd like somebody to tell me what you felt when I said that. How was your reaction? How are you feeling? Do you want to do it?
Didn't believe you.
Didn't believe me? No?
I said bring it on.
Bring it on? That's good. Good for you. Anyone else?
Really curious.
Curious?
What's going to happen?
Alright, well there's like a bunch of open people in the room. Frankly, I felt nervous. Which is a kind of interesting thing about when you talk about empathy, about what some of the barriers are. We're talking about how to enable empathy, but what are some of the barriers that might inhibit empathy? And that's sort of interesting to think about in terms of that empathy is a two-way street as well. We're kind of thinking about ways to potentially build understanding about someone else, but how do I situate myself to allow someone to build empathy about me? And it's also about, letting your guard down, and you have to give up something as well, and open yourself up to share, to allow people to kind of build empathy for you as well. And the sort of game of Truth or Dare is quite a sort of unique little social structure that we kind of put ourselves in often as kids, that's about kind of completely shamelessly learning about each other and I guess building empathy. So I kind of looked at that game and just sort of questioned a bit deeper about actually what's happening in that situation, and how it might help to build empathy in that kind of situation. So a lot of time in that kind of game or Truth or Dare, there's a collective mindset that everyone gets themselves in that's about just completely kind of shamelessly sharing and open honesty, and anything kind of goes, and we're all in it together, and it almost becomes sort of celebrated the more you open up and the more you share. But it's sort of also interesting that you're given the kind of ability to control how someone opens up. You can ask whatever question you want of someone or dare them to do whatever they want. Which is sort of about, navigating kind of mystery and power amongst people. And that's a two-way street as well, which is about establishing trust, and it's about not only kind of pushing boundaries together, but sort of setting them and understanding them as a group. And within most games of Truth or Dare, you might have the opportunity to make out with the person next to you. Which is sort of maybe, if we take a deeper theme, it's about kind of intimacy or connection, apart from the other kind of pushing boundaries. So sort of why do we stop playing it, and could we use it in other contexts? I've kind of thought about it in two ways. Firstly, could the actual game itself be used in other contexts, more literally? And one sort of project we're working on is exactly the same as we heard you guys talk about in terms of creating visiting experiences between families and guys in jail. But we're sort of doing it through video conferencing. We're trying to sort of design rooms where families can go in and Skype call their fathers in jail. And we've sort of been having similar conversations about that those conversations are incredibly difficult, particularly around with the teenagers. It's an hour. You said it's a short time, and it is, but it's also, if someone's feeling super awkward, it's a really long time to be there. And we've been sort of not only trying to create a space that feels enabling, but thinking about games or activities that we can help to sort of stimulate that conversation. So thinking about kind of Truth or Dare in that situation could be quite an interesting kind of game for the family to kind of play, if we think about some of those other themes we sort of spoke about. And it could be sort of just purely about kind of shamelessly learning through play, asking about current interests and stuff. Or there could be kind of deeper questions about, Daddy, why'd you do what you did? And then that stuff about navigating barriers too. Sometimes, the mum might say, actually, we don't want to talk about that. Where do you set those kind of boundaries? And the dares as well, they might be sort of about making commitments, or they might also be sort of about pushing boundaries as well. It could be a fun thing about telling the kids to open the door and go and make a fart sound to the staff, and the mum might say that's kind of ruin our next visit, you know. But it's, yeah, sort of, I think, quite an interesting kind of context to sort of put people in and see what happens. And the other sort of situation could be was, you know, within the co-design process itself. You know, we spent time talking to the staff about their practice and how they might help people facilitate these conversations. And, you know, those discussions got pretty heated, and because there's different people willing to let go of things more than others. And we were sort of having all these sort of asking all truth or dare kind of questions, and asking people to give up things, or asking them kind of about their practice or what they valued the most, and it's all sort of quite similar things. So there's sort of two ways to think about, you know, one, you know, could we actually just use the game in other contexts, or could we actually kind of think just about the principles of that, and could we kind of use those principles to create other situations? But yeah, either way, I think, you know, the words truth or dare are really kind of powerful, loaded terms that could be quite interesting to play with around sort of building empathy or understanding empathy.